Imagine trying to live among these beasts. Before humans ruled the planet, there were some seriously terrifying creatures lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce on any unsuspecting victim. Sounds scary, right? Well, today we have 15 of these prehistoric horrors that'll make your hair stand on end. You'll be so glad these monsters no longer exist. First up is the Arthropleura. Now this creature is what nightmares are truly made of. Take a look at this normal millipede. Now imagine yourself just strolling along when you encounter a millipede as long as a car with a pair of 64 legs. Well, that's exactly what an Arthropleura was, a giant arthropod that lived in what is now North America and Europe around 345 to 290 million years ago. Arthropleura was the largest known land invertebrate of all time, and one of the most remarkable creatures of the Carboniferous period. Arthropleura had a segmented body covered by a series of trilobate tergites that resembled those of trilobites. The head is poorly known, but it may have had non-filamentous antennae and trumpet-like organs. Arthropleura had many pairs of legs, but the exact number is uncertain. It is estimated that Arthropleura had 28 to 32 tergites, which would imply 56 to 64 pairs of legs. Arthropleura could reach lengths of up to 8.5 feet or more, and widths of up to 22 inches. It weighed about 110 pounds, which is comparable to a large dog. Arthropleura left behind fossilized tracks that show its movement patterns and habitat preferences. It preferred humid and warm environments, such as swamps, riverbanks, and coastal areas. It avoided direct sunlight and dry conditions, which could have dehydrated its soft body. This creature became extinct at the end of the Carboniferous or the beginning of the Permian, along with many other large arthropods. Next is the Megalodon. Have you ever wondered what the largest shark ever was? If you think it's the great white shark, you're wrong. The great white shark is only a dwarf compared to the Megalodon, a giant shark that ruled the oceans millions of years ago. The Megalodon, whose name means big tooth, was a species of megatooth shark that lived from the early Miocene to the Pliocene periods, about 23 to 3.6 million years ago. It is considered to be one of the largest and most powerful predators that ever lived, as well as the largest fish on record. How big was the Megalodon, you may ask? Well, scientists estimate that its body length ranged from 34 feet to 67 feet, and its body mass from 66,000 pounds to 227,000 pounds. That's about 3 times longer and 20 times heavier than the average great white shark. Imagine swimming in the ocean and seeing this beast coming at you. The Megalodon had a huge bite force of about 110,000 to 180,000 newtons, which is 6 to 10 times stronger than that of the great white shark and modern crocodiles. This force is so powerful that it is enough to crush a car. Its teeth were also massive, measuring up to 7 inches in length and 4.7 inches in width. The Megalodon had about 276 teeth in 5 rows in each jaw, and could lose and replace thousands of teeth during its lifetime. It lived in all oceans except for the polar regions and preferred warm and shallow waters along the coastlines and continental shelves, where it preyed on whales, seals, sea turtles, fish and other sharks. It was an apex predator and had no natural enemies. This creature went extinct at the end of the Pliocene period, about 3.6 million years ago. Next is the Titanoboa. When you imagine the largest snake that ever lived, do you think of the anaconda, which can grow up to 29.5 feet long and weigh up to 550 pounds? Well, there once was a snake way more massive than that. It was called the Titanoboa, a genus of giant boid snake that lived during the Paleocene epoch, about 60 to 58 million years ago, in what is now Colombia. It was first discovered in 2009 by a team of paleontologists who excavated fossils from the Sarajan coal mine. They estimated that Titanoboa could reach a length of 42.7 feet and a weight of 2,500 pounds, making it the largest snake ever known. Titanoboa was related to modern boas and anacondas, but it is unclear which one it was more closely related to. It had a robust and wide vertebrae, with a pentagonal shape in anterior view. It also had a large skull and teeth, which suggest that it was specialized in preying on fish. Titanoboa's enormous size was probably influenced by the climate of the Paleocene, which was much warmer than today. Snakes, like other cold-blooded animals, have metabolic rates that depend on the temperature of their environment. The higher the temperature, the larger they can grow. Titanoboa was one of the largest reptiles to evolve after the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs. It was an apex predator that dominated its ecosystem, feeding on crocodiles, turtles, and other animals. It was a true titan of the ancient world. The Helicoprion. Have you ever wondered what a shark with a buzzsaw for a mouth would look like? Well, we can't either, but meet Helicoprion, genus of shark-like eugenodont fish that lived from the Devonian to the early Triassic periods. Helicoprion is known mostly from its unique tooth whorls, which are spirally arranged clusters of teeth embedded in the lower jaw. These tooth whorls are the only parts of the animal that fossilized, as the rest of the skeleton was made of cartilage. For a long time scientists were puzzled by how these tooth whorls functioned and where they were located on the body. Some early reconstructions placed them on the nose, the dorsal fin, or even outside the mouth. However, recent studies using CT scans have revealed that Helicoprion had no upper teeth and that the tooth whorl was positioned inside the lower jaw, forming a continuous cutting surface. The tooth whorl grew throughout the animal's life, adding new teeth to the center of the spiral and pushing older ones outward. The tooth whorl was probably an adaptation for feeding on soft-bodied prey, such as squid and fish. It may have also helped Helicoprion crush the shells of hard-bodied cephalopods, such as nautiloids and ammonoids, which were abundant in its environment. Helicoprion had a long, slender body, large eyes, and a short snout. It may have reached up to 13 feet in length, making it one of the largest predators of its time. Helicoprion fossils have been found worldwide, from Russia to Australia and from China to Mexico. Helicoprion was a remarkable creature that survived for more than 100 million years, until it went extinct along with many other marine animals at the end of the Permian period. It is one of the most bizarre and fascinating examples of evolution in the history of life on Earth. Coming up next is terror birds. Terror birds were a group of large flightless birds that lived in South America from the Eocene to the Pleistocene periods, about 53.1 million years ago. They were among the largest and most powerful predators of their time, reaching heights of up to 10 feet and weights of over 880 pounds. They had massive skulls with hooked beaks, strong jaws, and long necks that allowed them to strike at their prey with great force. They also had clawed wings that may have been used for defense or display. They could run at speeds of up to 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour, making them formidable hunters of mammals, reptiles, and other birds. Terror birds were the dominant carnivores in South America for millions of years, until the continent became connected to North America through the Isthmus of Panama about 3 million years ago. This allowed new competitors and predators, such as saber-toothed cats, bears, and wolves, to enter South America and challenge the terror birds for food and territory. Some terror birds, such as Titanes walleri, migrated northward and reached North America, but they did not survive for long. The last known terror birds went extinct around 0.1 million years ago. Terror birds are fascinating examples of convergent evolution, as they evolved similar features and lifestyles to other large flightless predators such as ostriches, emus, and cassowaries. They are also closely related to modern-day sarimas, which are much smaller and less aggressive birds that live in South America. Terror birds have been discovered in various fossil sites across South America, and some of them are very well preserved and complete. The Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus was a huge dinosaur that lived in North Africa about 100 million years ago. It had a long, narrow skull with straight conical teeth that were good for catching fish. It also had a sail-like structure on its back, made of tall spines that grew from its vertebrae. Some scientists think that the sail was used for display or communication, while others think that it helped to regulate its body temperature. Spinosaurus was the largest known carnivorous dinosaur, bigger than Tyrannosaurus rex. It could reach up to 59 feet in length and weigh up to 20 tons. It was probably semi-aquatic, meaning that it spent some time in the water and some time on land. It may have hunted both aquatic and terrestrial prey, such as fish, crocodiles, and other dinosaurs. Spinosaurus was first discovered in Egypt in 1912 by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer. Unfortunately, the original fossils were destroyed during World War II, when a British bombing raid hit the museum where they were stored. Since then, more fossils of Spinosaurus have been found in Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. Spinosaurus belongs to a family of dinosaurs called Spinosaurids, which also includes Baryonyx from England, Irritator from Brazil, and Suchomimus from Niger. Next we have the Anomalocaris. This was a weird shrimp-like creature that had large eyes, a pair of grasping appendages, and a circular mouth with razor-sharp teeth. It belongs to a genus of Radiodont, a group of early diverging stem arthropods that lived in the Cambrian period, over 500 million years ago. Its name means, unlike other shrimp, or abnormal shrimp, because it had a very unusual body plan compared to other animals of its time. Anomalocaris had a large segmented body with swimming flaps on each side, and a fan-shaped tail. It had two large eyes on stalks that could move independently, and a pair of frontal appendages with spines that it used to capture prey. It also had a circular mouth with serrated plates that could crush hard shells. Anomalocaris was one of the largest animals of the Cambrian, reaching up to 3 feet in length, and probably one of the first apex predators in the history of life. The Megatherium. This was a giant sloth that once roamed South America and was one of the largest land mammals ever to exist, weighing up to 4 tons and standing 3.5 meters tall on its hind legs. Megatherium means great beast in Greek, and it was named by the French naturalist Georges Cuvier in 1796, based on fossils sent from Argentina to Spain. Cuvier was the first to recognize that Megatherium was a sloth, related to the much smaller tree sloths that live today. Megatherium belonged to a group of mammals called Xenarthra, which also includes armadillos and anteaters. Xenarthra is one of the oldest and most diverse groups of placental mammals, and it originated in South America when it was an isolated continent. Megatherium lived from the early Pliocene to the early Holocene, about 5 million to 10,000 years ago. It was widespread in South America, and its fossils have been found in Argentina, Uruguay, and Bolivia. It also reached Central America and possibly North America after the formation of the Isthmus of Panama. It was a herbivore that fed on leaves, twigs, and fruits. It had a long tongue that helped it grasp plant material, and large cheek teeth that ground it up. The Megatherium had powerful claws on its forelimbs that could be used for digging, defense, or grabbing branches. It could walk on all fours or stand and walk on its hind legs, using its tail as a prop. When upright, it could reach high into the trees or scare off predators with its size. Megatherium coexisted with humans for thousands of years, and there is evidence that humans hunted and ate them. Some Megatherium bones have cut marks made by stone tools, and some sites show signs of butchering and cooking. Megatherium may have been one of the megafauna species that went extinct due to human overkill. Up next is the Dunkleosteus. This was a monstrous armored fish that had a skull made of bone plates and no teeth, but instead had sharp edges on its jaws that could cut through anything. It lived 382 to 358 million years ago and belonged to a group of fish called placoderms, which had bony plates covering their heads and thoraxes. Dunkleosteus was one of the largest and most powerful placoderms, reaching lengths of up to 33 feet and weights of up to 8,800 pounds. Dunkleosteus had a unique feature that set it apart from other fish: it had no teeth. Instead, it had sharp edges on its jawbones that acted like blades. These blades could slice through flesh and bone with ease. According to a study by researchers at the University of Chicago, Dunkleosteus could bite with a force of about 36,000 newtons, which is comparable to the bite force of Tyrannosaurus rex and Megalodon. Dunkleosteus could also open and close its jaws very quickly, creating a powerful suction that helped it swallow its prey whole. It was probably an apex predator, feeding on other fish, sharks, and even other placoderms. Some fossils of Dunkleosteus show evidence of cannibalism, suggesting that they may have attacked each other when food was scarce. Dunkleosteus also had internal fertilization, which is rare among fish. This means that the males transferred sperm to the females through special organs called claspers. Dunkleosteus fossils have been found in North America, Europe, and Africa, indicating that it had a wide distribution and a high diversity. There are at least 10 species of Dunkleosteus, varying in size and shape. They went extinct at the end of the Devonian period, along with most of the other placoderms. Up next is the Deinotherium. Have you ever wondered what the largest land mammal ever was? You might think of elephants, mammoths, or even dinosaurs, but this creature rivaled them all in size and weight. Deinotherium, which means terrible mammal in Greek, was a genus of prehistoric elephant-like animals that lived from about 10 million to 10,000 years ago. They roamed across Africa and Eurasia, feeding on plants and leaves with their flexible trunks and large molars. They had a distinctive feature that set them apart from other proboscideans: their tusks. Instead of growing from the upper jaw and curving upwards, their tusks emerged from the lower jaw and curved downwards and backwards. These tusks were probably used for digging up roots, stripping bark, or fighting off predators. Deinotherium was not directly related to modern elephants, but belonged to a separate branch of evolution. They were among the last survivors of a group of animals called Deinothers. Deinothers first appeared in the Middle Miocene, about 20 million years ago, and diversified into many species and genera. They reached their peak diversity and distribution in the late Miocene and Pliocene, when they inhabited various habitats from forests to savannas. As the climate changed and grasslands expanded, Deinothers faced competition from other herbivores and pressure from predators. By the Pleistocene, only one species of Deinotherium remained, D. bozasi, which lived in Africa until about 1.5 million years ago. The Jaekelopterus. This was a giant sea scorpion that had a pair of large pincers and a venomous sting at the end of its tail. It lived 390 to 360 million years ago and could grow up to 2.5 meters long, making it the largest arthropod ever known. Arthropods are a group of animals that include insects, spiders, crustaceans, and many others. They have a hard exoskeleton, a segmented body, and jointed limbs. Some of them can grow quite large, such as the Japanese spider crab or the coconut crab, but none of them can compare to the Jaekelopterus. They were not true scorpions, but they had some similarities, such as a pair of large pincers and a long tail. Jaekelopterus lived in the early Devonian period, about 410 to 402 million years ago, and fossils have been found in Germany and Wyoming. The most impressive feature of Jaekelopterus was its size. Based on a fossil claw that measures 36.4 centimeters long, but is missing a quarter of its length, scientists have estimated that Jaekelopterus could reach a length of 7.5 to 8.5 feet, making it the largest arthropod on record. That's bigger than some sharks or crocodiles. To put it in perspective, the largest living arthropod today is the Japanese spider crab, which can span up to 12 feet from claw to claw, but only weighs 42 pounds. Jaekelopterus could weigh up to 880 pounds, according to some estimates. It was not only big, but also powerful and fast. Its claws were strong enough to crush the shells of other animals, and its compound eyes were well developed, giving it high visual acuity. It was most likely an apex predator in its ecosystem, hunting fish and other eurypterids. It could also swim by using its paddle-like limbs and its tail, which had a large flat segment at the end. The Gorgonopsid. This was a mammal-like reptile that lived 259 to 252 million years ago during the Permian period. They had long and narrow skulls with powerful jaws and large canine teeth that protruded from their mouths. These teeth were used to slash and stab their prey, which included herbivorous parasaurs and dicynodonts. Gorgonopsids could open their mouths very wide, possibly up to 90 degrees, without dislocating their jaws. They also had a semi-erect gait, which allowed them to run faster and more efficiently than their sprawling prey. Gorgonopsids are named after the Greek mythological creature Gorgon, which had a terrifying face and could turn anyone who looked at it to stone. The name was given by Richard Owen, who also coined the term Deinotherium. Owen described the first Gorgonopsid species, Gorgonops torvus, in 1876, based on a fossil skull from South Africa. Since then many more species and genera have been discovered, mostly from Africa, but also from Russia and China. Gorgonopsids were among the victims of the Permian-Triassic extinction event, which wiped out about 95% of all marine species and 70% of all terrestrial species. This event marked the end of the Paleozoic era and the beginning of the Mesozoic era, which saw the rise of new groups of animals, such as dinosaurs and mammals. Next we have the Megalania. This was a giant monitor lizard that lived from 1.8 million to 40,000 years ago in Australia. It is the largest terrestrial lizard known to have existed, reaching an estimated length of 11 to 23 feet and weighing between 97 to 1,940 kilograms. Megalania was part of the megafaunal assemblage that inhabited Australia until about 50,000 years ago. It may have encountered the first human settlers of Australia, which might have been a factor in its extinction. Megalania belonged to the genus Varanus, which includes the living monitor lizards such as the Komodo dragon and the Parenti. Megalania had a similar ecology to these modern relatives, being a carnivorous predator that hunted large prey using its powerful jaws, sharp teeth, and venomous saliva. Megalania's fossils have been found in various habitats across eastern and southern Australia, including open forests, woodlands, grasslands, and caves. Next is the Quetzalcoatlus, aka the feathered serpent of the sky. If you ever wondered what was the largest flying animal that ever lived, you might be surprised to learn that it was not a bird, but a reptile. Quetzalcoatlus was a pterosaur, a group of flying reptiles that ruled the skies during the Mesozoic era, when dinosaurs roamed the land. Quetzalcoatlus was named after the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, who was depicted as a feathered serpent. It lived about 70 million years ago in what is now North America, and had a wingspan of up to 36 feet, which is 3 times larger than the largest living bird, the Andean condor. Quetzalcoatlus was not only impressive in size, but also in appearance. It had a long toothless beak that could reach up to 8 feet in length, and a long neck that supported its massive head. Its body was covered with hair-like fibers called pycnofibers, which may have helped it regulate its body temperature and sense air currents. It also had a crest on its head, which may have been used for display or communication. Quetzalcoatlus had 4 limbs, that is 2 wings and 2 legs. Its wings were composed of a long 4th finger that supported a thin membrane of skin, while its other fingers were short and clawed. Its legs were strong and muscular and ended in 3-toed feet. Quetzalcoatlus had a unique way of feeding. It used its long beak to probe the ground or water for prey, like a modern flamingo or kiwi. It then swallowed its food whole, without chewing. It was also an amazing flyer and could soar for long distances without flapping its wings, using thermals and wind currents to stay aloft. It could also reach high altitudes and speeds. Some estimates suggest that it could fly up to 10,000 feet above the ground and up to 100 miles per hour. It may have had some difficulties in taking off and landing. Some scientists think that it needed cliffs or slopes to launch itself into the air, while others think that it could run on its legs and use its wings as propellers. To land, it may have used its legs as shock absorbers and folded its wings behind its back. Quetzalcoatlus was one of the last pterosaurs to exist, before they went extinct along with the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. Lastly, we have the Haast's eagle. If you could travel back in time to the South Island of New Zealand, you might encounter a fearsome sight, a giant eagle swooping down from the sky to snatch a moa, a flightless bird that weighed more than 200 kilograms. This was the Haast's eagle, the largest and most powerful eagle that ever lived. It lived from 1280 to 1400 CE in New Zealand and preyed on large flightless birds like moa, which could weigh up to 250 kilograms. It could kill its prey with one strike of its powerful talons. Its scientific name is Harpagornis murii, which means Moore's hook-clawed bird. The Haast's eagle was an impressive predator, with a wingspan of up to 2.6 meters and a weight of up to 15 kilograms. Its talons were as large as a tiger's claws, and its beak was adapted for ripping out organs like a vulture. It could deliver a devastating strike to its prey, with a force equivalent to a concrete block falling from an 8-story building. The Haast's eagle was part eagle and part vulture, a hybrid hunter that ruled the skies of New Zealand for thousands of years. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about the ancient world. These 15 prehistoric creatures were truly terrifying, and we are lucky they no longer roam the earth. Can you imagine having to face one of them in real life? Which one do you think is the scariest? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for today on Curious Gate. Please remember to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications so you don't miss when we upload new content. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious.